Hello, everyone. My name is Jenny Burak, and I'm an astrologer. I work with the Holy Spirit or Archangel Metatron in bringing forward these messages. And welcome to everyone who's new to my channel, and welcome back to everyone else. I appreciated all of the feedback that I had from the last video. We're going to do another video related to the last one, the solstice video that I did with Jesus, when Metatron tells me that there's a few things that need to come together first, and he wanted this message to go out today. So I was told, do it today, don't wait until tomorrow. So here we are. And I wanted to sit outside, but now it's in the 90s. It's about 34 Celsius or like 93 degrees outside. So we made it to summer. That's the way it happens in the Midwest. It's like winter, summer. But no, maybe not winter, but you know. But yeah, not complaining because I know that a lot of people in Europe, India, I saw an article yesterday about a town in India with 10 million people that is running out of water. So if you do this kind of work or you feel so inclined to send energy of water, of peace, of relief, is what Metatron is saying, to those areas. I know a lot of the parts of Europe that are being affected by this heat wave, people are not equipped with air conditioning. They're not, it's not common to be this hot, as hot as it's going to be. So we just want to, be sending love and energy and the blue ray water peace to them. So yeah, and that actually is in the astrology for July, that it's going to be very hot. So, and typically for us, it's normal, really. But I know, the places in the world where there's just extreme heat and, that's not a normal occurrence. So thinking of all of you, if you're there and, hang in there. You could leave me comments and let me know how that's going for you. I'm not sure exactly when the heat wave is starting, but I know the astrology is that for this month that there would be a lot of heat. So anyway, so we're going to talk about the eclipse, the first of two that we have coming up here in the month of July. And in July, we have 3 lunations. We have 2 new moons and 1 full moon. We have the new moon coming on July 31st. So this one, what he's saying to me now is that this is in preparation for that, moving into that energy when the new moon in Leo comes on July 31st. So there's a lot to say about the eclipse season and related to timelines as well. So I wanted to just explain a little bit about what's happening right now in the energy with the planets. Saturn rules time, and Saturn is with the South Node, as he will be moving forward these months through about mid-October, when he begins to move forward again, but he moves very slowly. And Mercury rules cycles. So when we're usually at eclipses, that's why, things tend to come to an end. Something is eclipsed over the eclipse season, even if it's not something, and it can happen for me. It happens sometimes weeks ahead of time. I know it can happen for months moving forward too, but it will be something related to where this eclipse happens in your natal chart. And this eclipse occurs at 10 degrees and 37 minutes of Cancer. And so we look at that as the 11th degree. You could say that you go to, it doesn't really matter how many minutes there are, but with 10 degrees, that's a 1, and then 37 minutes, that's another 1. So that's 2. A 1, the reason that 11 is the master number is because we add those ones together and we get a 2. And a 2 is about balance. And when you come into, you're able to integrate fully into your own ascended mastery and what it is that you came to do on this planet, and just being in a state of peace and in harmony when we balance ourselves, when we balance our diet, we balance our sleep, we balance, he's saying input, output. So what, like I was saying, when we're constantly giving, it's go, go, go. It's that masculine energy. We're not in a place of receiving. It's balancing how much time you spend doing something for fun versus, how much time you spend being serious and trying to work things out and working. It's balancing what you're giving to other people, including our children, our family members, parents and children. And then also, are you getting that back? Are you giving that back to yourself? Is someone replenishing that? How is it that you're replenishing? So this is going to be a lot of that kind of energy happening. I find with 11s on 11 days, they could go either way for me. I find that sometimes they can be challenging, the 11th of the month. And we actually have a lot of things coming up, big things happening on the week of the 11th and on the 11th of July as well. The number 7 relates to spirit and matter coming together. It's also the spiritual teacher. And there are a lot of other attributes that we give to the number 7, but spirit and matter coming together where, we just passed the midpoint of this year and now we're coming into this eclipse energy, and that really is in full force until we go through the next eclipse season, but it can last for a couple of years, really. Like I said, it depends on your own chart, and all of us have differences that way. But as a collective, right now, we do have a convergence of timelines coming together. And there's a lot of like sways and changes and shifts is what Metatron is saying. And, we are going to talk about how to be in a place of grace and ease with these changes coming in. He was talking to me about how important it is and imperative to keeping our vibration high and just being without having, a lot of us are really sensitive, and so we take on a lot of things that other people are feeling, that's going on like in the ethers, in the collective. And so he was talking about starting out every day by, even if it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, if you can take time to, just meditate. If you find it difficult to meditate, I've got Mercury square Mars. So, I would set the timer on my phone for 3 minutes, and I would just take deep breaths in through the nose all the way to the root chakra and exhale. And just, if you can do that for 3 minutes, that's great. Another way to do that, if you have a hard time just keeping your mind clear, placing your hand on your heart and making the Om sound. If you can do like the really low guttural tone of the Om, you will feel the healing energies and frequencies coming through your hand. The vibration of that tone centers us and aligns us, and we don't feel so isolated and alone. We feel like we're connected. That's what the vibration of Om is. So that's a good way to do it. But if you could devote just even a few minutes in the morning to getting yourself centered, and that's really not just for now, that's really always, because when we that's how a good way to say, look, I'm putting myself first, and letting yourself know that you're important. So that's a good way to handle these energies. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about Cancer. So the eclipses fall where the nodes of fate are, and that's the south node and the north node, which are points from the moon. All of the planets have nodes, okay? But we follow the moon's nodes are more important. The moon, changes signs it's the feminine side of us. It changes every 2.5 days to other signs. And where the north node falls, especially the house that your north node falls into in your chart, and the south node too, are all very significant. Nodes should be treated with given the same levity as the planets. They have a lot to tell us about, individually, and then also as a collective. And right now, the North Node being in Cancer is about coming into a sense of security. Okay, the Cancer is the sign of, it's like the harbor energy, okay, because it's the moon and it's water. And it's also the sign where we find the sun is at the height of the sky as far north as he goes from the equator at the solstice that falls in the middle of the year. And then he starts, the days become shorter. Okay, it's the sign of the moon. So then the moon starts, it's like the moon rising sign is what Cancer is. Okay, that's where we come into our emotional side, our receptive side, our feminine side, and where we allow ourselves to be at peace and at rest and feel that we have a safe harbor within ourselves and with spirit, that we're safe, that we're nurtured, that we're loved. Okay, it's about safety and security. And I think of Cancer as the moonlight shining on the water, where you just see, like for us in Chicago, it's Lake Michigan, and when you're there in the city over a full moon, it's so beautiful. You know what that looks like when the moon shines on the dark water like that. It's peaceful. And it's a part of us that only those closest to us, only those most intimately connected with us see. Our family, our the people that we feel safe with, that we allow them to show, we show them what it is, like the intimate side of us. It's not the sun that we shine to everybody. It's the moon is more the softer side of us and the vulnerable side of us. And it's important now that we are letting go and releasing Saturn and Capricorn, things that we believe bring us stability that maybe are outside of ourselves, or things that we maybe are relying on that aren't so reliable, so that we can have that sense of inner security and stability. So, and what else did you... Yeah, and the light begins to wane then as the sun light begins to wane, and the days become shorter as soon as the sun reaches its peak. It's like we go into this new cycle. It's like a fresh energy. And we have a lot of things happening in Cancer because the North Node is there. Our attention is going to be, keeping drawn back to always the North Node is like the lodestar. Okay, it's what we're moving toward. It's the guiding light. Okay, so we really are focusing a lot right now on the house that you live in, the physical home, and the family, and those that we're intimately connected with, okay, and healing the emotional side of ourselves. Now, this new moon is falling in Cancer, and, typically it's full moons where we look at as release, emotional release, because the moon is shining more, so brightly, and the moon is emotion, and it's bringing up things. But this does look like quite an emotional new moon that's coming, and I'm not sure if I said that it would be on the 2nd of July. It's at 2:16 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8:16 p.m. in the United Kingdom, so you could adjust for your time zones. But it most likely will be quite emotional. Chiron will be moving stationary retrograde. Will be stationary retrograde, and when a planet is stationary, it holds great influence. Okay, and he's actually in what's called a contra-parallel aspect. So, like I was saying, that the sun is very, it's the furthest it gets, or higher, the highest it gets to the equator, and wait, I gotta check that, you guys. Sorry, I don't know about you guys, but this Mercury retrograde, north. Um, this Mercury retrograde is already like I'm having just something weird with my car where an alarm's going off saying that I have my parking brake on and I don't know where my parking brake is. So I don't use it. I never have occasion to living in Illinois. Um, but yeah, just a lot of Mercury stuff happening. So I can tell that as we move into with this new moon, with Mercury becoming stationary shortly, very shortly, actually, like during the energies of the new moon, Mercury is going to become stationary and then begin moving retrograde. But the sun, okay, so from the equator, we look at planets by declination as well. This isn't something that's shown in your chart. You have to look at that in a different way. But they have the same effect, the same energy. So what's happening is that from where Chiron is at what's called contra-parallel, so he's in an opposition to Neptune at the time of the new moon. And so, when we're talking about Neptune and Chiron, that's a lot of emotion. So just bear that in mind, and just always good to, let yourself release, especially as we move into the energy, like coming up over, say, like the 30th could happen before for you. You want to be having those emotional releases, getting rid of things. And this could be, because we're talking about Cancer, this could be ancestor stuff that we're releasing as well, because Cancer is what we look at as the sign of the ancestors and the family of origin. Okay, it's where Metatron is saying it's where where our roots are. That's the base of the chart. Cancer is the bottom of the chart in Western astrology. On the 1st of July, Mars will move into Leo. So that's awesome, okay? That's like our saving grace. Because we've got fire in fire, and that's a wonderful energy for creating something new, okay? So he'll be in Leo at the time of this new moon, and then we've got Jupiter in his sign of fire too. So it's a lot of fire that we have in order to create something new, and just being ready for new opportunities for expansion and growth to come to us, and then also new opportunities being afforded us, and other opportunities that we thought maybe we'd given up on, or we thought that time had passed by. Those opportunities could come back to us now during this period. Okay, and then we've got on the 3rd, so again, still with the new moon energy, Venus moving into Cancer. So Venus in Cancer, typically if you have that placement, or Venus in the 4th house, and with your moon, just Venus aspects with the moons, there are a lot of ways that this can show up. But with Venus in Cancer, we can have a tendency to give and give and give more than we are receiving. Okay, and so we're all going to keep that in mind during this period as Venus is traveling through Cancer, that we look to nurturing ourselves, doing things for ourselves that make us happy, that bring us joy, because that's how we can help others the most. Okay, is always looking to ourselves first. You are a spark of God, and you are worthy and deserving of your full attention. And you're nurturing whatever it is that you do for that. But this kind of, after Venus leaves Gemini's about like socializing and gabbing, and Venus in Cancer is more subdued. It's a great time, great energy for if you do feng shui, or just rearranging furniture, even if it's not a big rearrangement, but just something to freshen up the house, especially because when Mars is considered a malefic, and when Mars goes through Cancer, there can be a lot of that energy in the house. If you could sage your house, that would be fantastic. At this point, at this time, like in that beginning of July, end of June period. But, you know, if you do it now, I've done it a couple times while Mars was in Cancer, but I will do it again when he leaves Cancer. Of course, Cancer is my 4th house. Not true for everyone, but I just feel like, and he's telling me that, you know, this would be a good time to do something to spruce up the house. He's saying energetically and otherwise. So anything that you could do just to have something that you like to look at that's pretty, that makes you happy. Yeah, perfect energy for that as Venus enters Cancer. And I wanted to mention the Chandra symbol for this is, well, this is actually, sorry, it's the Omega symbol. I love this website. I'm going to put this website in the description box. So we're looking at Cancer 11, and the Omega symbol is a hidden treasure waits to be found. And she says, you sometimes experience the anxiety of feeling that something is missing, that there is something you need to be doing or searching for. You're tuned into what is missing and where you feel inadequate. It's important that you see this as good, something capable of furthering your own evolution rather than carrying it as a burden. You will find your treasure. Have patience and know that it is already yours. So that's an awesome, for all of us with patience. While Mars is in fire in Leo, we can be impatient. So that's a great reminder there. But a hidden treasure waits to be found. So interestingly enough, the seed degree for this symbol is Leo 4, and that is where Mercury is about to station. Remember I said on July 5th, he's going to come to 4 Leo, and then he will start moving backward on the 7th. So that seed degree is a forest of mirrors is used to collect the sun's energy. Being constantly empowered by our sense of purpose, we are able to patiently and confidently focus on our life quest, knowing that whatever we are needing to find, we will find. Isn't that awesome? So I have that question so many times, what am I supposed to be doing? And I know for a lot of us, I had no idea that I would be doing this up until pretty much I was doing it. So, it comes and we find out it's a process, he's saying. He's saying that it's almost like opening a seed is what he's showing me. It's the transformation that we all go through, not just once. We have multiple transformations, right? And so it's getting to the heart, the core, the center of that seed and allowing yourself to crack open and to finding the courage within us, the gusto is what he's saying, to push that, to bring that energy forward, okay? And to bloom. Okay, and this is a great time to bloom. So that seed degree that I just read, that will govern now the Mercury retrograde, because that's the degree that Mercury will begin moving backwards. Oh no, I did not write down what day he's going to go forward again. But he's retrograde for 3 weeks. So you guys could do the math with that. Sorry about that. If I don't write stuff down now, you guys, it's like, well, so much for that. So I also have Memoria, which the asteroid on my descendant, and I wanted to mention that too because of Venus being on the descendant in the chart for the new moon. So when the ascendant is what we see through, the degree, the time when you were born, and then the descendant is like if we had eyes in the back of our head, what we would see about ourselves. So in my family, my daughter, my middle child, and I, we have each other's ascendants and descendants. So your descendant is something that you don't like about yourself. Not that I don't like her. I shouldn't have said that at the same time, right? But no, it's something that you don't see about yourself at all. Okay, so for me, it's 29 Libra. And so that's balance, right? That's me getting my balance right. And it tends to be that when things fall on the descendant, that's why if you watch tarot readers, they say, watch your Venus. It's really because Venus rules the seventh house. The sign of your descendant will always be an accurate tarot reading. Well, I mean, depending on who you watch, but you know what I mean. But Venus being on the descendant in this chart, and especially because it's in the late degrees of Gemini, and then aspects that she's making later in the week. But this could be something that you find out about relationship that was a lie, or it could be just something news kind of thing. But also where you could be looking at for your relationships more, or other people outside yourself for fulfillment more than you are looking to yourself, kind of story. So yeah. And then also he was talking about Venus in Cancer, using this as a time to bring joy back into the house. Music is what he's bringing up now. Music, a pretty like pictures, paintings, things that you enjoy to look at on the walls too. And then on the 8th, so we have a really big week then, like the 8th, well, I mean, I said the 11th, and then, you know, the full moon is going to be on the 16th. So on the 8th, Chiron will move retrograde, and Mars and Mercury will meet at the same degree, and that will be a trine energy, okay? So, and then Venus is going to make an aspect, it's a cooperative aspect to Uranus, but you know, Uranus, you never know what's going to happen. Venus is relationships. So this looks like really it will be something to do with relationships, and with Mars and Mercury at the same degree in Leo, that can be a lot of drama. So we want to be really careful with this transit, and then, you know, we'll be moving into the Leo season later in the month to watch the drama episodes. A lot of us get stuff out of drama, and it isn't Leos. Everyone has a sun, okay? And your Leo signature, the sign of the planet or the sun is at home in Leo, okay? So Leo is in your chart. All of us have all 12 signs, but we all have a sun, so, and that's our Leo. So everyone can be prone to drama. It's not, yeah, maybe we have the Leo signature, we can have more drama, but it's definitely something that, especially if you're unhappy with where your life is, a lot of times we can create situations of drama just because, not consciously, but because subconsciously we're bored and we need a little bit of excitement, okay? And especially with relationships, that could be true. So we're going to watch out for a lot of drama happening. And then remember how I spoke about, I don't remember if it was the solstice video or the one of the full moon video, about the political drama and just a lot of blah, blah, blah. And we're seeing that, you know, between our country and Iran right now. I'm sure I don't know, you guys, I try not to pay too close attention. And I don't really know what's happening in other countries because our news is the Trump show. So I don't really get to find out unless you guys tell me what's happening in other parts of the world. But that's probably true for pretty much everywhere right now, the way that the energies are. And then on the 9th, this kind of goes along with what's going on in the 8th. The 9th, the sun will oppose Saturn and Mercury will move retrograde. And it's that's a story of endings. And it's also the story of moving into this new cycle. It's just another part of the story because really all of the energies that we have right now are pointing to us moving into a new cycle. That's Mercury rules cycles, Saturn rules time. And then the sun, of course, is spirit. It's our higher selves. It's also our ego. But there's something to do with an ending of something. It could just be something where you decide, you know what, I don't really think I'm going to do that anymore. That kind of thing. It doesn't necessarily mean a relationship is going to end, but there's something with an ending in that energy. And that can happen, you know, we're talking about the 8th and 9th, but that energy begins, depending on how sensitive you are and where it's falling in your chart, begins typically earlier. So it could even come like shortly after the new moon. And then on the 11th, we've got Mars squaring. So that's the energy of tension, the 90-degree aspect, squaring Uranus. And while as the sun trines Pluto. And that's the day that Mercury and Mars also, this is when they begin to separate, but they're still together on the 11th. And then, as because Mercury has begun to move backward, then they'll begin to separate. But don't forget, the whole time that Mercury's been there, they're at that seed degree that we talked about, that I read. Sorry, it's on two different sheets. A forest of mirrors used to collect the sun's energy. Constantly empowered, the sun, Leo, constantly empowered by our sense of purpose, we are able to patiently and confidently focus on our life quest, knowing that whatever we are needing to find, we will find. You can't ever be in the wrong place or doing the wrong thing. If your soul doesn't like what's happening or you need to shift into something else, that will happen. And the people, the soul family, and all that is, the creator of all that is, the way that we're alling together through the energy of creation, the energy of pure unconditional love, will find its way to you. Whoever it is, okay, will find his way or her way to you. Whether that's, for a business partnership or whatever you need, it will be provided for you, because when there is a divine timing and something that you are needing to move into, everything will conspire to bring that to happening. Okay. And all of us do. We have contracts that we come here with that are going to be fulfilled. So never any reason to worry, but that's this Mercury retrograde. And that's, like I said, then on the 11th, we'll have Mars square Uranus, and the sun will trine Neptune. So the sun in Cancer trining Neptune in Pisces, that's a lot of water. But then you've got that Mars square Uranus, and moving up to the sun opposed Pluto. Metatron was saying that was a great energy for planting a seed. So the 11th to the 14th, great energy for planting the seed. And then we've got the full moon that comes on the 16th. And he told me that he would like it if I waited to talk about that, because he wanted us to focus more on this. I just wanted to show you. This is so hard to do backwards, you guys. I wanted to show you in the 4th house that's intercepted there. That's Uranus and Heimdall and Vesta, the high priestess with Sphinx. I think, and while one of the degrees, I think it must have been the one before the new moon, was about a hailstorm or like some kind of a storm event. And the 4th house, in mundane astrology, the 4th house governs climate change events. I feel like we're still, it's a raucous energy, is what Metatron is talking about. And we do have that fire in the sky too, and like I said, the energy points to heat wave, extreme temperatures is what he's saying. And then I listened to one of my astrology teachers, Ann Ortley. I love her so much, and I try to listen to her once a week. I don't always get to, but she reminded me something that was came to my attention during the solstice energy, and that is the number of planets that we have at the same degree by declination. And I already explained declination is from the equator, north or south. The planets are measured that way, not around the zodiac, okay? So and then I asked her, I actually sent her a message and said, like, how many degrees should I give? And she said 1. So going by that, Ann Ortley, she's on Blog Talk Radio, and she puts out her weekly weather every Sunday. And so we've got the sun, the moon, Venus, Mars, and the nodes of fate, all the north node, all at the same degree. And opposing that, we have Jupiter and the south node. And don't forget that Jupiter expands. I'm sorry, it's Jupiter and Saturn that are with the south node. And Jupiter expands and magnifies whatever he's closest to. But this with Jupiter and Saturn, it could be the father. It's an authority figure. Could be a religious figure, but all of them are, in this opposition. It's a lot of planets at the same degrees, or parallel or contra-parallel. And then we've got, what other one was I going to talk about? Oh yeah, Neptune and Chiron are in that, contra-parallel opposition. And then Ceres, who governs like nurturing the harvest, the fruits of the earth, also can be like the badass mother that goes to any lengths to take care of her children. So the feminine aspect there. She is opposing Mercury. So Mercury rules health and Mercury rules pets. And so if you, think that your pet maybe needs a checkup, especially over eclipse season, always a good idea to maybe, schedule checkups. But if you do have anything happening with health, really don't ignore that. And then we've got Uranus opposing, Uranus is with Juno, who represents partnership again. So again, things coming up in partnership. And this is really just a lot of raucous energy. Because even though they aren't all aspecting each other in the zodiac, they are, by the way that they're feeding energy into Earth, they're at the same degrees, parallel or contra-parallel. So it's a lot of, like when I asked him, to show me, because the chart's got 4 signs and 4 houses intercepted. And I was like, okay, show me like what it is. And he showed me this. Okay, because the 1st and 7th house are intercepted. So it's something about things being out of balance and coming back into balance. We're going to feel like a little bit like a jarring kind of feeling. That's why it's really important to take time to, take the deep breath all the way down to the root chakra. And really, he's saying, check in with yourself. See how you're doing. Don't be, I know, because I know, I'm thinking of those of you with little kids. I know what that's like when you're just busy giving, especially when they're home for the summer. And so it's really important to take time to check in with yourself and make sure that you're adequately caring for yourself, rather than looking to take care of everyone else right now. Okay, because, if you're the one everyone's relying on in whatever situation that you're in, then important that you're up to par, that you're feeling good. And that's how we really spread joy to everyone else too. So let's see, I think that's all. Yeah, and then he also mentioned doing like YouTube videos. They've got meditations. A lot of people have them for root chakra meditations. Anything you can do, even just doing the Om and focusing on your root and feeling you gaining strength there and feeling empowered there. Okay, and really the way that we feel mostly empowered is realizing that there is no separation. Okay, when we have those insecurities, and that's shown by your moon. So there's a lot of different ways that it shows up in your chart, but your security, your sense of security and well-being and being comfortable, as sometimes with the ungrounded stuff too, it's just being comfortable in our own body, in our physical body. But when we have those, like during these shifts and changes, and we start feeling insecure, because even if it's not conscious, we subconsciously know what's happening, that things are falling away, that there's about to be a change, and we don't know exactly what it's going to look like on the other side of the change. And so it gives us feelings of insecurity. And it's really, that's just the illusion of separation. That's why we don't throw judgment on other people, because that just plays into the whole, oh, look at that person. No, we're all part of the whole, and everyone's doing exactly what they're meant to be doing. And when we recognize that and see ourselves in our partner, like when this, kind of drama stuff, it's potential. I'm not saying for sure it's going to happen, but when it's because they're showing us something about us that we don't like. And so, we're all connected. We're all conspiring to help one another, even when it doesn't look like it at the time, is what he was saying, conspiring to help one another. And, really like nurturing yourself and realizing that all aspects of you are aligned through the frequency of pure unconditional love to your higher self and to the one true highest self, the creator of all that is, that we're all woven together in that energy, that we're part of all that is. So anyway, you guys, that's all I have for today. It seemed like I had more, but nothing else is coming to mind. He's not saying anything. So anyway, all right, guys, I know that I'm making another video coming up shortly, but I don't have the 411 on the whole thing, so we'll find. Or 411, you guys, is information in the United States, so or it used to be before Google, but I haven't gotten all of the information. I think it probably will have something to do with the Bible and the Bible. But yeah, not telling everybody to read the Bible, just that's where Jesus' teachings are, so that was where we went for that. And by the way, Jesus and Buddha's teachings are very, very similar. And they're part of that same ray or vibration. So anyway, everybody, sending all of you so much love and goodness and happiness and happy house. And, all of the things that you've been wishing for in shifts and changes for this eclipse season. I'm sending all of you grace to be able to absorb these energies and to just flow with all of the shifts and changes that we're going to be having coming up. And wishing you all the best, guys. All right. Bye-bye.